Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot. A couple of days ago, I posted this tweet, how bearish I thought it was losing the structure on the RSI 4 hours. 2 days after, we can see perfectly clear how it played out. If you were following me on Twitter, I gave you a heads up right around here. And finally, we made it to a very oversold RSI. Currently, RSI on 4 hour is 19.9. If we scroll back in time and we put a horizontal line, you're gonna see that we reached that level in April, we reached that level in June, and in March, when we went to 20, we reached an RSI of 10, which we only reached during the bear market, during the FTX collapse as well. So there's still some headroom to the downside, but that's not gonna happen before we take some liquidity to the upside. In this video, we're gonna focus on trying to find where is the next area of support and what is the current upside that we have in the market to grab the liquidity left from all the late shorts. Guys, if you like this content, make sure that you hit the like, subscribe to the channel, enable the notification bell so you get notified whenever I post a new video, and do 2 things for me. Watch the video until the very end and do not go anywhere before leaving a comment down below. Those 2 things are really helping the channel, so thank you so much for that. And this one about the Nasdaq, I gave you a heads up as well that that was potentially the top when we got a signal on the Hive weekly. Those are extremely powerful signals and you do not mess with them. I mentioned this in one of my previous videos, so make sure that you're subscribed to get notified. But if you missed the video, at least follow me on Twitter. My handle is Trading Parrot. By doing so, you won't miss these time-sensitive alerts. I wanted to have a very quick overview of the latest signals that we've been getting from Breaking Point and VIX SPY. Both of them have been extremely precise. For example, here, the day that we dropped to 28.5, we had a buy from Breaking Point, and at around 29.650, we got a final sell. So if you were following that signal, you will be 3.8% in profit on a short. The 2 signals, VIX SPY, which was featured on TradingView, and Breaking Point, are absolutely free. And I have made videos explaining how they work. There are 3 things that are making noise in the head of all investors currently. Number 1 is the next Fed meeting on the 20th of September, interest hikes. People are really worried about the fact that there might be at least one more hike. In September, the expectation is 13.5% of a hike, no change, almost 90%. But in November, the expectation of hike is almost a 40%, and same with December, which is pretty bearish because the only thing that will give some sort of relief to the market is a no change or an ease. China's downside risks are growing and its economy is less likely to reach the 5% this year. This is also making a lot of noise in the media, and very famous for Big Short bought bearish options against S&P. We're talking about 1.6 billion short. Most people remember Barry just by the movie for making such a great call during the housing bubble. What people don't tell you necessarily is how many times he's been wrong and underwater. I'm not saying he's wrong, I'm not saying he's right this time, I'm just saying that not because he's doing something, he's going to always be correct. And most of the people that short the market spend most of the time underwater before they're right. Calling the bottom and calling the top usually leads you to a lot of stressful situations as well. The Fear and Greed Index, interestingly, is still holding at 50, even though the price is starting to show a lot of weakness. In terms of this growing channel that we can see here, being at 50 is just like pending from a thread to lose the momentum to the upside that we've been having since June 2022. As you can see, the Fear and Greed Index is just going up and down in this growing channel in a similar fashion that it did in 2020 before entering a full-on bull market. We could argue that if we lose that 50 on the Fear and Greed Index, things could start becoming a little bit delayed in terms of getting an impulsive move to the upside. As you can see in CoinGlass, if you select the 7-day, you're gonna notice how the delta is accumulated to the upside. To the downside, there's still liquidation areas. The bigger ones in the last 7 days is 28.4 and 28.2, and the last high level is 27.9. After that, in the last 7 days, there is no liquidity to the downside. In this tool, you can only see up to 7 days, and 7 days is not the full picture, unfortunately. For that, we need to start looking into High Block Capital and other paid tools. In High Block Capital, we can see that the delta is currently at 10 billion and is putting at risk mostly the shorts. Let's reduce a bit the granularity. By doing so, we are going to be able to see better the levels. And as you can see, the first large one is located at 28.8, followed by 29.4. There is a chance that there can be here a big bounce to the upside, and one of the main reasons is when you see that in all the time frames everybody is doing a short, which is more or less what we are seeing here. On the 1 hour, everybody's short. On the 4 hour, everybody's short. And on the daily, since 24th of July, everybody's short. And it's just starting to pick up in terms of some longs coming into the market. But overall, when everybody is pointing to the same side, usually that's the point of most likelihood that you see the reversal to the upside. We could see a move to grab that liquidity to the upside, but don't get me wrong, the look of the Nasdaq is pretty ugly at the moment. Having a weekly high halfway through, the RSI got lost around the 31st of July on the weekly, so this is not a matter of playing out in a few days. This could take months to recover, potentially seeing a downside channel until it resets. The MACD is printing the first red, and there is a bearish cross on the MACD as well. The DXY is within this channel, is hitting resistance both from the downwards sloping trend line and from my level here located at around 104. There could be some rejection there, but if you see a breakout about 103.3, then expect the Nasdaq to finally fulfill the 14.2. If Nasdaq does that, do not expect Bitcoin to do anything bullish at the same time. If we look at the recent price action of Bitcoin versus Nasdaq, S&P and DXY, you can see that the Nasdaq, the S&P both are pointing up, and they are just starting to have their first pullback after a massive rally, whereas at the same time, Bitcoin started retracing halfway through the rally of both indexes. And this started happening at the same time DXY started to show some strength. Let's have a look at this chart, the big boss of the bear market. We've been saying the full year that once we get to this level, we're gonna have a lot of struggle to cross it. What do I mean by struggle? Well, look how much struggle we had to cross it downwards. So do not expect that this can be broken just with a few retests. And so far we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 retests of it. And this bearish structure that we see here is currently breaking down on the weekly. Many investors are saying do not short this level because this level is support. This is a weekly chart, meaning that this candle will only break this structure to the downside if we confirm the candle next Sunday. But on the other side, if we look at the daily version of the same chart, we can see that we already print one candle below and we have a hanging candle here in red already, which if we take that liquidity, we can take up to 29 and still be below the trend line, breaking down to the downside. And if you remember this one here and this one here, both were massive fake outs to the downside, meaning that for the whole week we were in massive pain, seeing a huge red candle to the downside, calling for 10K, just to see in a few hours how the whole candle disappears and it turns into hanging man, flagging a massive bullish scenario followed by a move of almost 26%. I think that a scenario is on the table. I just think that that has probably a 10 15% chances of occurring right now. Whether you're bullish or bearish, you have to manage your risk. Do not trade without a stop loss. During the rest of the week, the most important events are happening today. We have the unemployment rate, which could definitely influence the forecast of November and December in terms of whether people expect new hikes. Of course, if there's a lot of unemployment, then there is a chance that the Fed might ease. In this chart, where I'm using Lux Algo Premium indicators, you can see this bullish structure forming on the 15 minutes that has a chance that it could break out to the upside, potentially forming a higher high from here, a change of structure, and eventually heading towards the equilibrium or some of the fair value gaps around here. And the last one is located at 29K. So from the point of view smart money concepts, we can see where are the next targets. In terms of alts, it's a massacre. Currently, the Fear and Greed Index went straight back into Bitcoin season for the first time in over a month. We were hovering the 30s and now we are back to 20. This means that most of the coins now they are behind Bitcoin. Only a few handful of them are still outperforming Bitcoin based on the performance of their last 90 days. Ethereum still suffering behind Bitcoin. On the day we have a lot of 5% down. Very few exceptions are having still a good week, but the majority of them have retraced back into the red. We have a few massive winners. There always is a few of them. We have OG, Veracity, and from Spain, probably Atletico Madrid, Bancor, and Tomo. For as long as the Bitcoin dominance is at levels of 50% and higher, the chances are larger than the king Bitcoin will make another move to the upside, that people are gonna just flush their tokens back into USDT and Bitcoin, and that resets the whole cycle of the flow of money. In terms of levels to the downside, I really like to use this chart of Fibonacci. It has been really helpful throughout the full year. You can see how you find support on the gray line here. You found support on the blue line. On the next one, it was on the green. So you can see as we move to the upside, we've been finding support on higher levels of Fibonacci. But currently, we are not finding support or where we should be finding, which is probably the orange one. We can use the same chart to see potential levels of support. So if we find support on a similar level than we did in June, that will represent 27.9. If we did it at a similar level than we did in March, which is the 20K at that point, currently that will be sitting at around 26.2. If we do it at a similar level as we did at the bottom of the bear market so far, that will be at 25.5. Interestingly, this blue level, if we assume that the price takes this long to make a move to the downside, coincides with 20K. Which is the level we have never reached. The biggest bears like El Capo del Crypto is expecting us to get somewhere around here, which is the red level at around 16K. One of the only patterns that I'm seeing that is still looking bullish is this channel here. If this channel played out in a similar way that it did the last two times, where we finally found a bottom at the last touch of the lower trend line, then we could have a move like this. In principle, the pattern still looks healthy. There can be a move at least to the top of the channel, again 29.2, and a potential rejection and continuation to the downside, like we have multiple times in this channel. It doesn't necessarily need to be the last touch of the lower band, meaning that we can do this and this and this and then break to the downside or break to the upside. But there's one thing that currently breaks this pattern, and it's the RSI. The RSI here has already broken. The momentum on the daily is lost, is gone. The fact that we're still within this pattern and the momentum is gone makes it a high likely scenario that we will lose the support very quickly. And what I mean by that is not that this is just a free fall from here, but manage your risk, because this can still go to the higher level around here, 29.4, and maybe from there lose it. On CPR, we have levels of support at 28, 27, and 25 for the month of August. On material indicators, there's a massive accumulation of volume at 27.9, and we can see how all the groups are currently in a sell mode. What are we looking for in material indicators? We need one of these larger groups, the 1 million to 10 million or the 100K to 1 million, to start diverting from what the rest of the groups are doing. We need the whales to start stepping in. And before we go to the heat map on high block capital and the important levels that are forming on the book map, if you're interested to trade any of these moves, I will say do it on OKX. That's personally my favorite exchange so far. I'm currently hosting this event for $60,000. The link is in the description. Just make sure that you create an account and use the referral code Parrot. By doing so, you get 20% discounts, and then with your new account, click the join now, deposit, trade. The more you deposit, the more you trade, the larger the rewards. And that is directly helping the channel and helping yourself to make more profits as well. We're looking here at high block capital on the monthly. And as you can see, there's still some left over of liquidation levels located just above 28K. It will be really silly for market maker to make all this move to 28.5 and not to take the 28. If we go to the 12 hours, you can see how 29K is there waiting to be taken. So the question is, what's going to happen first? Is the market maker gonna go straight for the 29 and let this pattern complete first? Or is it just going to go straight for the 28K, weak to this, and then later take the 29K? Of course, keep in mind that not all liquidity gets taken immediately. Lux Algo signals an overlay, print a sell around here. It hasn't printed any buy yet. The money flow within the oscillator matrix is still in red, printing some higher highs here. Guys, this week I published a video where I explained how to use Bookmap. It's this one here called this real-time market liquidity 2, and in any of my videos, scroll down to the description. You're gonna find loads of different offers for all my favorite products in the domain of crypto. And as I promised, the last thing is Bookmap. You can see liquidity at 29K, 357. The selling wall currently is slightly more thin than all the support levels, spanning from where the price currently is all the way to 28K. There's a spike here around 27.5 with 670. And you can see that there is a massive delta in CBDs. That means that there's a lot extra sellers, 10,000 more in fact compared to buyers. The vast majority currently are in a sell. You do not want to be doing the same thing that everybody's doing at certain point in time. That is a perfect recipe for disaster. Personally, I'm accumulating more Bitcoin with each of these slightly larger moves, and I only take big opportunities like this when you see that the RSI has lost momentum after multiple touches of an area of support or an area of resistance. Follow me on Twitter if you want to get notified when any of these rare but massive opportunities are coming up. Thank you so much for watching the video. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe to the channel, and do not go anywhere without leaving me a comment. I will read all the comments and reply. Thank you so much for watching. See you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.